In an interesting twist, Serba Dynamic Managing Director and CEO Datuk Dr. Muhammad Karim Abdullah bought 1 million shares or a 0.03% stake in the company today. This upped his holding to 21.225% or 787.38 million shares. The filing with Bursa Malaysia did not reveal the transaction price. Based on its last close of 35 sen, the share purchase would have cost him 350,000 ringgit and his stake would be worth 275.58 million ringgit. Serba Dynamic is back in the limelight. At noon break today, Bursa Malaysia said it was suspending trading of the company's securities, including all structured warrants from 2:30 p.m. until further notice. The board's regulator said this was aimed at maintaining an orderly and fair market in the trading of the engineering services providers' securities. Earlier this week, Muhammad Karim disposed of his entire holdings of 55.9 million Serba Dynamic warrants, although the derivative price was near record low prices. Based on the closing prices on the transaction dates, he is expected to have netted 4.3 million ringgit from the divestment. Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad or MAHB has appointed Datuk Iskandar Mizal Mahmood as Managing Director. The airport operator also announced the resignation of Datuk Muhammad Shukrie Salleh as Group CEO to pursue other opportunities. Shukrie had been at the post for only 19 months. Iskandar Mizal was the Group Managing Director for Media Prima before he resigned 4 months ahead of the expiry of his contract on September 30th. Media Prima had cited the need to focus on his other commitments as the reason for Iskandar Mizal's resignation. In a filing with Bursa Malaysia, MAHB said Iskandar Mizal is a corporate leader with over 32 years of experience serving several companies, from multinationals to government-linked companies in multiple sectors, of which 18 years are in leadership positions. He previously served MAHB as General Manager, leading its listing on Bursa Malaysia in 1999. He also has postal and logistics background, having served as Group CEO of Post Malaysia from 2013 to 2015. According to MAHB, Iskandar Mizal specialises in turnaround initiatives. He was mandated by the Ministry of Finance and Khazanah Nasional to turn around companies such as MTDC and Granaterm Ventures. He also led Media Prima's turnaround from 2019 to 2021. MAHB's shares fell 0.3% to 6 ringgit 58, valuing it at 10.92 billion ringgit. Malaysia's Consumer Sentiments Index rose in the third quarter of this year to its highest level since the third quarter of 2013, in a sign that Malaysians are growing optimistic about the current economic situation due to the easing of COVID-19-linked movement restrictions. The reading came in at 101.7, which is the first time since the third quarter of 2018 that it has surged past the 100-point optimism threshold. In the second quarter of this year, the reading stood at below 80. The Malaysian Institute of Economic Research or MIER said in its latest Consumer Sentiment Survey report that labour market expectations have never been this optimistic since the second quarter of 2018, while household financial expectations are the best in 3 years. MIER said consumers are looking forward to better incomes and job opportunities in the coming months, so spending plans for major consumer durables should pick up the pace as well. The easing of restrictions aside, it's that consumers are likely also looking forward to the soon-to-be-announced Budget 2022, which explains their expected ambitious shopping plans. However, MIER said much still depends on whether such plans will materialize or not, and until and unless they do, consumers may not be able to provide the economy with a stronger mandate for growth, at least for now. Analysts cut their earnings forecasts for Supermax Corp after the US Customs and Border Protection said it will detain imports of disposable gloves produced by the group over forced labour allegations. Afin Hwang Investment Bank said in a note that it believes it would take at least a year for Supermax to resolve the issue. There's also the likely pressure on its average selling prices due to the glove maker's significant exposure to the US market. The research house cut its FY22 to FY24 earnings forecasts for Supermax by 22% to 54% and downgraded the stock to sell from hold with a target price of RM1.70. MIDF Research also cut its earnings estimates, lowering them by 26.9% for FY22 and 11.1% for FY23. It revised its target price to RM1.67 from RM2.72 and downgraded the stock to trading sell from neutral. The research house expects Supermax to start distributing in-stock rubber gloves meant for US exports to other continents, where competition for its products is already high, and this might spell a fall in the utilization rates of Supermax's production. Meanwhile, CGS-CIMB Research maintained its hold rating on Supermax, with a lower target price of RM2.16 from RM3.20 previously. It said the glove maker has engaged independent auditors to look into the forced labour claims, with plans to submit its audit findings in 3 to 4 months to the US authorities, which may take another 6 to 9 months to review the report. CGS-CIMB assumes the ban will only be lifted by the end of the first quarter of FY23. It cuts its FY22 to FY24 earnings per share by 15.3% to 18.5%. Supermax ended trading today 0.98% lower at RM2.03 for a market value of RM5.52 billion. A witness told the Kuala Lumpur High Court today that ex-Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi was just following former Premier Datuk Sri Najib Razak's orders when he extended Ultra Kirana's contract as the sole operator of the foreign visa system for Malaysia in China. Former Home Ministry Deputy Secretary General Policy and Control Datuk Suryani Ahmad said this was based on minutes jotted down by Najib and sent to Ahmad Zahid, stating that the project must proceed and the contract must be continued. Earlier, another witness, Azman Azra Abdul Rahman alias Muhammad Salleh, testified that Ultra Kirana had sent several letters to Najib requesting his consideration to retain the company. Azman was formerly a Principal Assistant Secretary at the Immigration Affairs Division of the Home Ministry. He told the court that the contract extension was subsequently granted in a hurry when there should have been time to make an assessment first, since the deal only expired in 3 years' time.